Okay, so we're here with Firebirds forward Kaden Pitre, and Kaden, you're here in your third season now with the Firebirds. You've been drafted into the NHL. You're one of the longest standing players on the team. Does you finally feel like you have kind of some veteran status here in Flint?
Oh yeah, I would say so. I mean, definitely with the fact of I think from my rookie year, there's only I think 3 of us left that were there. But yeah, no, I think definitely being here for the last 3 years and seeing everything, I feel like I definitely have some veteran status.
Would those three be you, Nate Aspinall, and Nathan Day?
Yeah.
Do you three kind of have any sort of, I guess, I don't know, more camaraderie that you've been through a lot of changes here the last couple of years?
I would say so. I think it's definitely easier with Aspinall just because he's a forward. Like I play with him more than I play with Daisy, obviously. But yeah, no, I think we all have like a really good relationship with each other, and we're all like realize that we're the last like 3 standing members from rookie year. But
the camaraderie with forwards, it doesn't quite extend as much to a goalie, though. I haven't heard that before.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like it's different because like I'm with Aspie on the bench all the time, where it's like Daisy's like on the other side of the ice. Like I probably say about 5 words to him during a game. So
Tell me about, so just, I guess, the team dynamics with this team. Because the one thing I've noticed this year, it seems like even through ups and downs, you guys seem to really get along really well. There's lots of kind of joking around on the bus, on the bench when we're around during practice. I mean, it seems like it's a group that likes to be around each other. Am I right to say that?
yeah, it's definitely a great group of guys. I think like everybody loves each other. I mean, you can't really. I think that's how it has to be when everybody's from a different country per se. Is like you really only have each other, so everybody's sort of like best friends with each other. They hang out with each other every day outside of the rink. It's like you're always with each other versus teams that are maybe closer to home. They're able to just go home, be with their like hometown friends rather than hanging out with the team.
It's almost an advantage that an American OHL team would have there then, because you guys are almost all full transplants from a different nation.
I think, like you said, just like team chemistry. I think, obviously, when you're like in a hockey game, it's a battle. You're like battling with the person beside you. They're more like your brother than just your friend. So, I think just having that sort of like brotherhood rather than just being like friends or acquaintances with the guys on your team is what stands out.
You are having a nice stretch here as we sit talking late, kind of early in February. We're in the last third of the season, and it seems like you've hit your stride a little bit after maybe some points of the season where you might not have been as pleased with the amount of points going up next to your name on the score sheet. How do you feel about the way you've been playing?
Good. I think it's all about like a learning curve and just consistency. I mean, I'm still a young player. A lot of the guys on the team are still young players, so I think we have to realize that just like we might not play the same every single night, but I think I've been doing a good job lately of just trying to play my best consistently. And I mean, so far it's been showing, but hopefully I can keep it going.
So last season, of course, your season got cut short from injury, and that was your draft year.
Yeah.
So I imagine that was kind of tough to go through, that you didn't maybe feel like you got as much of an opportunity to show what you're made of in, your draft year. I mean, obviously it worked out. The Lightning snagged you, but what was that like going through some injuries last season when it's obviously a big year for a young hockey player?
I think it's just tough. I mean, I think the fact of like the NHL draft is just already draining and like very mentally challenging because you obviously want to get drafted. So I think like just the fact that I wasn't really able to do anything to help my status or like really boost it in any sort of way was definitely mentally taxing on me. But I mean, I talked to Tampa a lot before the draft, and I couldn't be happier where I ended up. So I'm very thankful for that.
There's a lot of pressure that I think people don't really realize, especially, it's so easy to forget how young players are in this league, watching, because you guys are so good, for lack of a better term, watching this hockey. It's such high level hockey, but for you talking about the pressure, 17, 18 years old going through that, and do you see that with guys right now? Like, Jimmy Lombardi obviously is one that kind of jumps off the page, and Jeremy Martin, another one in his draft year, guys who are eligible, and seeing them maybe kind of gripping their sticks tight when things aren't going well, and any advice you can share for them?
I think like definitely at times maybe you see it like they get a little frustrated, but I think that's sort of like with everybody. I wouldn't say it's just the guys who are draft eligible. I mean, I think what helped me a lot of the time was like, well, obviously I had my brother, but like just talking to the guys who already went through it. I mean, in reality, it doesn't really matter like how high you get drafted, because more often than not, it's like guys who are the third round and later who are actually in the NHL. So I mean, I think it's just sort of just pushing through and just understanding that like playing the right way is what is going to get you noticed, rather than just like point totals or like, I don't know, putting up 30 goals, let's say.
You mentioned your older brother Colson, who he's obviously off in San Diego playing for the Gulls, the Ducks organization. You were lucky enough to play with him for your first 2 years here in Flint. What kind of a adjustment has it been not having Colson here?
I think it's just different. I mean, obviously he's my best friend, so I think it was weird living with him my whole life basically, and then just realizing that he's on the other half of the country. So, I mean, I think it's definitely different, but I mean, I couldn't be happier for him, and I mean, I'm doing good, so I'm happy with it.
How often do you two talk?
Pretty much every day, honestly. It sort of depends. Like on the road trip, we didn't talk as much just because like he's flying a lot with his team, and then we're obviously traveling a lot, so it sort of depends, but probably like every other day-ish.
So you obviously have mentioned Tampa, that you talked to them a lot going through the process leading up to the draft. Since being drafted and going through this season here in Flint now as a drafted prospect, what's the communication like with the Lightning?
Good. I mean, they send people out probably like once or twice a month, which I mean is great, and if they can't come out, we have Zoom calls. So I think they're definitely like a very good development team, and again, I couldn't be happier. I mean, I feel like they're putting a lot into me, and I'm trying to put as much back and give as much back to them. So I think just having that sort of relationship is good.
What do they kind of talk to you about? What are they having you focus on and trying to get better at?
Just sort of like being more consistent and like leading the play more. I think there's definitely times, I mean, with a lot of players where like they have the space and sometimes they make like the easy play out rather than like trying to make it, or like, so I think just trying to make more plays and holding on to the puck more, and then just obviously being more consistent.
One thing I'm always interested in is the first time that you go to like a camp after like being drafted or getting your first taste of a dev camp, and does like seeing almost the NHL atmosphere and seeing the level of play. So when you first got to Tampa after being drafted and you went through kind of the camps this year leading up to this season, what did you take away from that?
I think just there's a lot of work to go. I think a lot of people think that when you get drafted, it's like you made it, and it's not the case. I mean, you're got a few years probably in the AHL if you're not like the first overall pick or second overall pick. But yeah, no, I think just that there's a lot of growth and a lot of room to improve. I mean, after watching and seeing the guys work out and stuff like that, I mean, they definitely lift a lot. Everything's like faster. They pass harder, shoot harder. So I think it's just being able to look at those guys and sort of get to that level is what just I'm focused on.
Do you have any goals for the rest of the season here? Obviously outside of just, winning as many games as possible, taking this team as far as it can go, but anything that you're trying to accomplish before the season ends?
I think just trying to stay consistent. I mean, I think that's probably one of the most important things, and I think that's a large difference between the guys who are in pro and guys who aren't. Is just like the guys who are in pro, because everybody has a skill set. It's just whether you can use it on a consistent basis or not. But I wouldn't say there's a lot of personal goals other than just like playing the right way and being consistent, because I mean, really I just want the team to win and for us to go far and hopefully bring something back to Flint.
That's of course what we want too. Kaden will be rooting for you the rest of the way.
Thank you, I appreciate it.